Speaking of deals, my oh my, the Players Association and the league, they're about to come to a serious clash because next season it doesn't look like there's going to be a vaccine, no fans in the stands, so there won't be no revenue sharing. So a lot of small market teams are not going to be willing to pay salary without hitting that revenue sharing program because fan and ticket revenue is about 40% of the league's revenue. So somebody's got to take a hit, and they're presenting ideas in which they want the players to either start the season earlier or they want the players to take a high pay cut in form of an escrow tax on their check. So they'll get paid their regular salary, but some of it's going to be withheld. So let's say everyone knows, you guys got to pay federal tax, state tax, your hospital, your Medicare, whatever insurance you got to pay your agent. That off rip is probably about 40% plus out of your check. And the owners are presenting another tax on top of that, which is called the escrow tax, in which they're going to just hold 30% more. So that's crazy. They're going to hold that, and then the players are going to make the rest of their salary. And then when the season ends, out of that 30% that they held for the whole year, the owners are going to calculate their losses. And if they take too much of a hit, especially operating costs in these stadiums, or just a lot of just overall operating costs, they're going to deduct that from that 30%. And they're going to give the players back maybe a small percentage, or they might give them nothing back. So the players got to come to the negotiating table with this deal possibly presented to them. And it's definitely going to be a clash. Somebody's got to take a hit. It's either these billionaires or these players are going to take a hit. Remember, the league is in a 50-50 revenue split between the players and the owners. But Michelle Roberts spoke on this, and you guys check it out.
In prior negotiations, there's always been this sort of, he say, she say about who's losing money and who's not losing money, and what teams are profitable, what teams are not. And beyond saying that, I will say that the difference between what we have to do now is there's just some reality that we don't have to fight about. And the reality we don't have to fight about is that we're going to take a revenue hit. There's no getting around that. We do not have any ability to reasonably expect that we're going to have fans in arenas in the same way that we did pre-COVID. I mean, we probably won't. It's not probably, we won't, right? And gate receipts was a substantial percentage of basketball-related income. So the pie is we all know, and we don't have to even argue about who's poor and who's not. What's clear is we're going to have a smaller pie to divide. So the question becomes, how are we going to do this? How do we divide this much smaller pie in a way that is consistent with the letter and the spirit of the current CBA? It's a 49-51% split. And on the one hand, the owners say, well, we want our share, and the players say, yeah, well, we want our share too. And the issue is what dollars are already committed, what expenses are fixed. Um, if everyone knows that we've got to take a cut, I mean, the players are prepared and understand that they're going to see less money next year because there's less money that's going to be made. And again, the pie is smaller. But how do we manage this reduction in revenue? Do we attempt to have everybody just die in the first year? Do we spread out the loss over some period of years? How do we come up with ways to generate alternatives to the revenue that we know we're going to lose out on because of the absence of butts in the seats? What do we do about salary cap? What do we do about tax? I mean, at the end of the day, the good news, in addition to the fact that, yes, there's a huge revenue loss, the other piece that's just a given, I think, and I think that the league would agree, is that this game is going to rebound. So we need to come up with a formula and that's nimble, that's flexible, that reflects the reality of the revenue that we're going to lose, but allows for the fact that this virus is either going to make things is going to go away or not go away, but we got to figure out ways to manage it and be able to continue to make money. I think the guys and at the league are smart. I think that the guys and the gals at the PA are smart. We have been able to, thus far, knock on wood, negotiate any number of things in good faith. We had to deal with the force majeure provisions and the revenue that was going to be potentially lost by the players. and in connection with that, and we managed to work it out such that rather than lose a full 25% of their contracts, you're right, we're probably down to about 15%, which is substantial. So, I am of the view if you have to make a deal, you will, and we do. We're married. This partnership can't survive without each other. And so we've started talking. So far, no one's thrown a chair at anybody yet. And I don't think I'm being unreasonably optimistic. I think I'm being realistic. We have a golden goose, and nobody wants to kill it. Now our goose has been wounded. Let's figure out a way to repair her, such that no one goes away and walks away thinking they've been unfairly disadvantaged. So far so good, but I'm not going to pretend that these are not going to be very serious conversations in the next few weeks.
The Golden Goose definitely has been wounded, and it's really up to who's going to take that L. And the owners already taking losses from their outside businesses. We've seen owners like the Houston Rockets, owner of Tillman Fertitta, his casinos, hotels, that's a dub. Mickey Arison in Miami, all his cruise lines, that's a dub. So with losses like that, we all know those are in the billions. You think the owners want to take other losses in their other ventures? That's possibly in the millions? I don't think so. But the players definitely had a lot of leverage going into the bubble to negotiate something. I believe personally that they gave up a lot of leverage back then, and they have less of it now because the owners could technically rip up the current bargaining agreement and make a new one based off of the revenue and the circumstance that's happening right now. And that's not going to be a good result for the players. And when these negotiations begin to ratchet up, best believe there's going to be a lot of outside influence, especially the 2021 Summer Olympics. That's going to be one influence in which they're going to want the NBA to start their season early so they can showcase their players in that event. And it's also good for the NBA because it's almost like a global promotion of the league. Now you're going to also look at the TV partners. They're going to want the NBA to start up possibly earlier or just in a way in which they can schedule their other programs to not affect the revenue, because having the league go up against the NFL this season has not really yielded great results. They haven't really even said the results. It must be really bad. So that's why we probably see rumors of the league floating ideas that they want to start around Christmas. They saw that NFL smoke and they want no part of it.